These past years I've traveled quite a bit, and as a young traveler learning how to do things by myself, I've made heaps of mistakes. Luckily I've learned from them and now I can share them with you so you don't have to go through them. It's Anna and this video is about the 15 travel mistakes I made.
Hay un nuevo coronavirus.
This video will be organized in different parts, so the first part will be just general mistakes I made or the ones I made in different countries, and the rest will be mistakes I made in Australia, Tenerife, Ireland, the UK and Costa Rica. One thing I tend to do a lot is under budgeting. I guess it's because I'm still young and I'm not used to paying for things myself, but I hope I get better with experience. I always end up spending more money than I planned, especially in food, because whenever I see a vegan place, I'm so tempted to go and buy something, not only to enjoy the food, but also to support local vegan businesses, and it happens too much. Mistake number 2 was buying a black suitcase, which I didn't make myself. My mom bought me that suitcase and I really like it, so thank you so much for that. The issue with black bags is that everyone has them and it's so easy to get confused. Someone can grab yours thinking it's theirs, or you can get it stolen or lost. And if it's a bright the same color, it will be way easier to find than if it's just a black bag. However, if you already have a black one like me, I have a trick for you that might work. Tying an item around the handle, this way you can tell it apart. I usually just tie a wrap and then around it. Mistake number 3 is buying a flight last minute. This is something I don't do a lot, but I have done sometimes. I think we all know last minute flights are more expensive, so this is me telling myself to stop doing that. I recommend a month in advance for domestic flights and around 3 months for international. I think the most spontaneous flight I ever booked was a round trip to the UK, because my Aussie friend Molly was volunteering in England and she was gonna go in like a month or so. So I booked a flight and 13 days later I was on that flight. Mistake number 4 only applies if you're traveling international, and it is not buying a SIM card or data plan when arriving. As I'm used to traveling in the EU, I usually don't have that issue because you can just use your data plan from back home. But when you get outside of the EU, things get complicated. So I recommend buying a local SIM card. I made this mistake both in Australia and Costa Rica, and I ended up buying a SIM card after some days in Australia and after a month in Costa Rica. Moving to mistakes I made in Australia, number 5 is paying my debit card in other currencies. That hurt my soul. How did I not know? I did use cash sometimes, but I mostly paid with my debit card, not knowing that every time you pay with another currency, you get charged for that. No wonder how I got to Catalonia without any savings. Another one I made was booking an event or experience without doing previous research. Before leaving to Australia, I found out there was going to be an event happening called the Sydney Vegan Sleepover. So I booked the event and then booked flights from Brisbane to Sydney. And days before the event, I looked up the directions of the place, and it was 2 hours away driving from Sydney. And the issue was I couldn't get there by public transport. In the end, everything was fine because I just asked for a lift at the basic group, and you know, everything was fine, but how dumb. I mean, it's called the Sydney Vegan Sleepover, so you would imagine it's in Sydney, but it was my fault not to look up the directions of the place before booking it. I'm so happy I didn't though, because I had heaps of fun, and I feel like I wouldn't have gone there if I knew it was so far away. I don't know how to explain this other mistake, but it happened when I was leaving Australia. So, in theory I did the right thing. I packed an extra change of clothes in my carry-on. Okay, well done Anna. I got to the airport at 10 PM and the lady who was doing my check-in took 20 minutes to give me my ticket. At that moment I should have known something was wrong, but I guess I was blinded by the joy of having a window seat and I didn't realize. The lady told me nothing about what I'm going to tell you. So I got to my gate and I decided to sneak into the MX lounge. I actually just walked in because no one was guarding the door. I started talking to a man and he told me his flight had been delayed for 9 AM the next day. And keep in mind it was around 10:30 or something like that. So they had told him he could spend the night at the lounge. He asked me where I was going and I said Dubai. My flight is at 12:30. And he said, what a coincidence, mine was too. That's when I realized my flight had been delayed for 9 hours and I was actually supposed to be at the lounge anyway. It was my fault because I hadn't checked my email or the info board at the airport. I just checked my ticket. How dumb. So I had dinner, I had the best shower of my life at the Emirates Lounge. I changed into my own clothes and I went to sleep at the comfiest sofa ever. The next day I woke up to the sunrise and I boarded the plane from the lounge. It was... what a good experience! The thing is, I was now dressed in my only clean clothes and I had a 10-hour flight ahead of me, a 20-hour layover in Dubai due to the delay, and a 7-hour flight to Barcelona. On top of that, I was dressed in long pants and I was going to be spending 20 hours in a 40-degree city. Moral of the story is, bring an extra change of clothes in your carry-on. Maybe 2 if you have a long trip ahead. Moving on to Tenerife. Mistake number 8 was paying extra for choosing a seat. You might know that low-cost airlines make you pay extra for everything, including this. This time I was flying to Tenerife with who was my boyfriend at the time, so I paid extra to sit next to him. However, when coming back, we didn't pay extra, so we got seated 2 rows apart. And being the friendly saleswoman I was, I asked the guy sitting next to me if he could swap places with Jose, and he said yes. So maybe you don't need to pay extra for choosing a seat. Number 9 happened when we were traveling Tenerife itself. We trusted that there would be an ATM anywhere, and we didn't bring enough cash. We ended up getting stranded in the mountains with €1.10 between the 2 of us. I think we needed around 3 something to buy a bus ticket back to our Airbnb, so we needed to find an ATM. We asked around and someone told us it was a 40-minute hike away, which is not too bad.
40 minutos más o menos la persona que camina o vayas a caminar sin entretener, sacar fotos ni nada. Pero... Sí. Mirar abajo, pobre, como húmedas.
After a while we got to a road and I decided I didn't want to walk again. It's not that we were tired, but I just wanted a hitchhike. Have you ever hitchhiked before? No, have you ever done it before? Are you going there after this?
Walk? Without a car?
We don't have a car.
Oh, okay. Walk.
If you're going that way later, we can wait and come with you, please. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. What's your name, by the way? Nice to meet you. My name's Anna. Anna, yeah.
I am Jose.
Been here for a while now.
Where are you come?
You know Barcelona?
Where? What?
Barcelona.
Where? Barcelona? Ah, Barcelona. Yeah. Barcelona, 23.
The couple ended up taking us to the beach and then we walked back 10 minutes to the ATM. Finally have a place to get some money at so we can catch a bus. Number 10 applies for people traveling low cost. This one didn't happen to us, but we found out about it while we were queuing in Tenerife to go to Catalonia. We met a married couple and they told us that Ryanair had made them pay €50 extra per person just because we were checking in 2 hours before the departure. Keep that in mind, a lot of low-cost airlines make a big amount of money from extras. So not checking in online and checking less than 2 hours before the departure counts as them. I recommend checking in online as soon as you're allowed. I made mistake number 11 in Ireland when I was visiting my friend Lisa. I forgot to bring my plug adapter. Maybe because Ireland is in Europe and I just assumed they would have the same plug. But I had no excuse because I was going to the UK right after that and I didn't know they use different plugs. These things are easy to fix, you just buy a plug adapter or a charger itself. But they tend to be more expensive in touristy cities, so keep that in mind. When I got to the Dublin airport expecting to check in for my flight to London, I realized I had made another mistake. I had booked the flight for the wrong date. I made a mistake. I couldn't check in online. And I was like, wow, it is weird. I booked a flight not for the 29th of August, which is today. I booked it for the 29th of September. I now have to get a flight for right now. And that sucked because I had booked that flight for €30. And there I was at the airport, buying a ticket for the next hour, but it was so worth it. I booked the flight, checked in right away, I flew to London, and I went to the UK vegan campout. That was a fail. Where are the vegans? Oh my god! This is crazy! Is it good? I had so much fun, it was worth the money. The next 2 mistakes I made in the UK. I don't know, a lot of people do this, but I always tick the box that says near airports, and that itself is not an issue. The issue is booking the flight without checking how far that airport is from the city you're trying to go to. Because these small airports are where the low-cost airlines usually fly into, so probably the cheapest flight lands there. However, is it really worth saving €15 if you then have to get a train that's 1 hour and a half long and then 2 subways to your accommodation? Sometimes these options end up being more expensive because the extra transportation you need to take. This happened to me on my flight back from London to Barcelona. I flew EasyJet from Southern Airport, which was not even close to London.
Literally just has 10 gates.
While I was queuing to board that flight, I was told that I could only have a carry-on and no personal item was allowed. Check the bag allowance. Low-cost airlines have special requirements. There was I next to the queue, emptying my backpack and cramming it all into my carry-on. I had to put in like 3 layers of clothes on me, and I stuffed things in my pockets. I even had to put my laptop in my pants. And when I got back to the queue, I could hear these people behind me commenting on the things I had. They thought I had robbed someone and I was hiding the things in my pants. It was so embarrassing. I pretended not to understand Catalan and I just kept on listening to them, but trying not to laugh because it was too funny to hear. I think I've already done 15, but I'm gonna do 2 more. So moving on to Costa Rica, the first mistake I made there was not knowing the kind of traveler I would be. I thought I would work away at the same place for 2 months and a half and I would visit around, but I wouldn't really move my base. How did I think that? Did I not know myself? So I thought I would not be a backpacker, but I would have a backpacker budget. And I'm such a backpacker now that I know the kind of traveler I am. So I brought a big suitcase to a Central American country and I was gonna be traveling in the jungle. How naive. I tore my suitcase on the second day and I spent the next month trying to buy a second-hand backpack. I ended up finding this one and I shopped it for clothes. Which leads me to the next mistake I'm gonna talk to you about. Overpacking. I think we all do this, and the bigger the bag, the more we fill it up. When I swapped my suitcase for the backpack, I realized I had to get rid of more than half of my stuff. So I gave the lady 2 pairs of shoes, 3 sweaters, leggings, a flight attendant interview outfit, a purse, and something more. I will probably do a video on what I packed for Costa Rica and what I used and what I didn't use. And that's it for this video. I hope you learned something or at least learned from my mistakes. Please comment down below if you want to see a what's in my backpack for Costa Rica video, and I'll see you next week. Bye! This is finally done! It took forever and I'm sweating. Oh.